How complicated are the marriage rules in Louisiana? This video is part 3 of 3 where we are completing our review of Chapter 12 of the 2025 Fundamentals of Louisiana Notarial Law and Practice book. In this video, we are breaking down the last details you should know regarding the chapter titled Of Persons, the Family, and Marriage, and it is all about marriage. In Louisiana civil law, marriage is defined as a legal relationship between two persons created by a consensual civil contract. This unique legal contract is governed by specific civil code articles designed to clearly outline the rights and obligations that accompany marital status. It's crucial to note that while marriage is consensual, it is also subject to strict legal guidelines and requirements. To form a valid marriage in Louisiana, specific legal requirements must be strictly observed. According to Civil Code Article 87, these essential elements include the following. First, the absence of legal impediments. Legal impediments, as outlined in the Civil Code, render a marriage absolutely null if present. Such impediments include existing marriage, also known as bigamy, close familial relationships like ascendants, descendants, or siblings, and certain adoptive relationships. Next is marriage ceremony. A marriage must include a formal ceremony conducted by a legally authorized officiant. Both parties must be physically present and explicitly consent to take each other as spouses. And last is free consent. Consent must be freely given by both individuals entering the marriage. Any form of coercion, duress, or fraud may invalidate the marriage. Louisiana law identifies specific marriages as absolutely null due to severe legal impediments. First is bigamous marriages. A marriage is absolutely null if either party is already legally married. Next is close relatives. Marriage between ascendants, descendants, siblings, whether full or half-blood, and specific adoptive relationships are prohibited. And last is underage marriages. Individuals under 16 cannot legally marry. Additionally, minors between 16 and 18 require parental or court consent. Some other special cases are the following. Louisiana explicitly prohibits marriages contracted by proxy or procuration, meaning both parties must personally attend their marriage ceremony and directly express their consent. Louisiana uniquely provides an option for covenant marriage, a type of marriage with stronger commitments and more stringent requirements for divorce or legal separation. Covenant marriages require premarital counseling and additional documentation, clearly stating the couple's intention to enter into a covenant marriage. Once entered, terminating a covenant marriage requires meeting specific grounds outlined explicitly in Louisiana law. Contrary to common misconceptions, Louisiana law does not mandate a name change after marriage. Either spouse is legally permitted to retain their surname or assume the surname of their spouse if they choose. Understanding the legal foundations of marriage is essential, particularly for notaries who play a critical role in guiding couples through compliance with these civil requirements. A matrimonial regime is a comprehensive system of rules that determines how property is owned, controlled, and managed between married couples, as well as their relationship with third parties. Louisiana law follows a civil law tradition, and its matrimonial regime laws dictate property ownership within marriage clearly and specifically. Louisiana recognizes two primary types of matrimonial regimes. First is legal regime, also known as community of acquits and gains. This is the default regime for married couples in Louisiana, unless they explicitly choose otherwise through a matrimonial agreement. Under this regime, property acquired during the marriage generally belongs equally to both spouses. Property that each spouse owned before marriage, inherited during marriage, or acquired as gifts specifically to one spouse remains separate property. Community property includes income, salaries, assets purchased with community funds, and property donated to both spouses jointly. Second is contractual regime. Spouses may choose this alternative through a matrimonial agreement. They may opt to modify or entirely separate their property, allowing each spouse to manage property independently. This regime must be established formally and explicitly to become legally binding. Both spouses generally share equal management rights regarding community property. However, the concurrence or consent of both spouses is typically required for significant transactions involving community assets, such as selling, donating, or mortgaging community property. For example, both spouses must agree when selling or encumbering community-owned real estate, major furniture, or significant personal items. Certain everyday transactions or customary gifts, like birthday or anniversary presents of moderate value, do not require dual consent. If one spouse acts without the required concurrence, the transaction could be annulled or set aside. Property acquired by one spouse before marriage, inherited or received as a gift solely by one spouse, remains separate. Each spouse individually controls, manages, and disposes of their separate property without needing the other spouse's consent. However, clear documentation is essential to maintain property as separate. A matrimonial agreement, often known as a prenuptial or antenuptial agreement, allows spouses to alter the default legal matrimonial regime by clearly defining property ownership and management rules different from those set by Louisiana law. Matrimonial agreements must be executed in writing, typically as an authentic act before a notary and two witnesses, or in certain cases, by an act under private signature duly acknowledged. Agreements may be made either before marriage, known as a prenup, or during marriage, known as a postnup. However, agreements made during marriage require judicial approval if they substantially alter or terminate the community property regime already in place. Matrimonial agreements cannot violate public policy, modify the mutual duties spouses owe to each other, such as fidelity and support, or negatively impact the rights of third parties, like creditors or children. Matrimonial agreements affecting immovable property must be recorded in the parish conveyance records to be effective against third parties. If the spouses have separate domiciles, the matrimonial agreement must be recorded in both parishes to provide legal notice to third parties and creditors. Louisiana law restricts minors from entering matrimonial agreements. Minors under 16 cannot enter a matrimonial agreement under any circumstances. Minors aged 16 or 17 can only enter into matrimonial agreements with the written concurrence of parents, legal custodians, or tutors, or with judicial authorization. Now let's put everything you should have learned from the chapter and this three-part video series and give a good summary of Chapter 12 as a whole. Louisiana civil law provides clear definitions and frameworks governing relationships between individuals, families, and property. At its core, this includes distinct definitions of persons: natural persons, human beings from live birth until death, and juridical persons, entities like corporations, partnerships, and LLCs having rights distinct from their members. The domicile, defined as one's habitual residence, determines jurisdiction for personal and legal matters. Individuals may change their domicile through formal declaration and proper recording. Filiation, the legal relationship between a parent and child, is established by birth, presumption of paternity, formal acknowledgement, or adoption. This relationship is crucial as it affects parental rights, inheritance, and legal duties. Adult adoption is permitted under specific legal guidelines, enabling adults to form legal parent-child relationships. This process requires proper formality, including authentic acts, and in some cases, judicial authorization. Parental authority encompasses parents' rights and obligations regarding their children's care, education, and property. It can be delegated partially or fully under certain conditions, with parental authority typically ending when the child reaches majority or through judicial actions like custody awards. Tutorship protects minors lacking parental authority, typically occurring due to parents' death, incapacity, or divorce. Tutors have specific duties to administer and protect minors' property and interests. Louisiana recognizes tutorship by nature, by will, legal tutorship, or by appointment of the judge. Emancipation grants minors specific rights of majority before reaching the legal age, which can occur through judicial action, marriage, or authentic acts. Limited emancipation allows minors to conduct specified juridical acts, while full judicial emancipation provides complete independence. Interdiction is the legal process whereby an adult incapable of making sound decisions is placed under a curator's care. This status, ordered by the court, may be full or limited, significantly restricting the interdict's legal capacity. Marriage in Louisiana is a consensual, contractual relationship with clearly defined legal requirements, including mutual duties of fidelity, support, and assistance. Legal impediments include existing marriage, close family relationships, age restrictions, and formal requirements such as valid marriage ceremonies. Matrimonial regimes govern property relationships within marriage. Louisiana default law establishes a community property system, community of acquits and gains, sharing property acquired during marriage. Spouses may instead choose a separate property regime or modify their regime through matrimonial agreements, clearly outlined by law, with formal documentation requirements to protect third-party rights and ensure transparency. Louisiana notaries play a pivotal role in formalizing these legal arrangements, ensuring compliance with civil law standards to protect personal rights and property interests comprehensively. Now that you have a solid understanding of Louisiana's civil law regarding persons, family, and marriage, you're better equipped to handle these important concepts confidently as a Louisiana notary. But don't stop here. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more chapters from the 2025 Fundamentals of Louisiana Notarial Law and Practice. Have questions or topics you'd like to see covered next? Drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.